Hello everybody, my name is Antonin Conan. I am a French PhD student from CNRS and the University of Strasbourg. Today I'm going to talk about the world mortality mitigation measures with focus on fences for amphibians. Many amphibian species need to move between a terrestrial and an aquatic habitat to complete their life cycle, with an aquatic breeding and larval stage. For this reason, amphibians can move over long distance. As you can see, there are pre-breeding movement and post-breeding movement. And if the amphibians have to cross a road to complete their life cycle, a very high road mortality can be observed. This mortality is also observed when the juveniles disperse, as they are very agile and they can climb many obstacles, and are then even more vulnerable. It's therefore essential to install effective fences to stop and guide the amphibians to wildlife passages in order to mitigate the habitat fragmentation. That's why we ask the following question: what about the fence effectiveness in stopping amphibians? In order to answer this question, we have raised three hypotheses. The first was that the fence effectiveness may be linked with the mode of displacement of the species. The second was that the presence of an overhang at the top of the fence could reduce crossing success. And the third was that the type of material used for the fence could affect crossing success. We tested these three types of fences: two concrete ones of 40 cm height with or without the presence of an 8 cm overhang. The third one of 38 cm height in galvanized metal and with a 5 cm overhang and a 2 cm return, which is less expensive but also less durable than the previous one. Note that we focused on 40 cm height fence because this height had already been validated for another endangered species in Alsace, the common hamster. For these three types of fence, we made the following prediction according to the mode of displacement of the different species. On one hand, the runner and little jumper species would not be able to cross these three types of fences. On the other hand, we assumed that the presence of an overhang would be necessary to stop the juveniles that could stick to the wall as well as the good climber species. Finally, for the good jumper species, we had no prediction. We performed our tests on different species: the natterjack toad, considered as a runner, the green toad as a little jumper, and the hagel frogs as the good jumper. All three species were tested at the adult and juvenile stage. We also tested the American tree frogs in the adult stage, which is a good climber. This species was used as a substitute for the European green tree frog because of its similar morphology. Finally, we also tested the common newt in the juvenile stage, which is a good climber. In addition, all juveniles of this tested species are considered to be climbers because they can climb by adhesion. All adults were identified by the implantation of pit tag. The tests were carried out in an arena. The individuals were placed in a departure compartment as shown here in the photo, and they had to cross the fence, which has a wet side on the right and a dry side on the left, in order to test the climbing capacity of the amphibians with a dry or a rainy weather. If we make a section of the arena, you can see if the individuals manage to cross the tested fence, they arrive in an unreached compartment with an aquatic and terrestrial area. On the other side, we placed color individuals that can sing and diffuse odorous molecules. We also use a speaker that plays amphibian calls. We used all of these parameters because they have been shown to attract amphibians efficiently. The tests were done at night. The behavior of the tested species were recorded continuously. For each fence, we tested different aids to identify which one the tested species can cross. Each aid has been tested 3 times in order to limit the bias of having unmotivated individuals. If we look at the result for the concrete fence, you can see the maximum height crossed according to the mode of displacement. For the simple concrete fence, we can see that only good climbers and good jumpers can cross the 40 centimeters, while the other species are stopped at a lower height. We can also see that the juveniles, despite their size of about 1 cm, managed to cross a 21 cm fence. We can also say that all trials of the juveniles were made by adhesion to the fence only on the wet side. For the concrete fence with an overhang, here the dark gray bars, we can see that the good climber are stopped at 35 centimeters, while the good jumpers always succeed in crossing 40 centimeters. Finally, we can say that the presence of an overhang reduces the height crossed and stops all the juveniles tested. As regards of the Galva fence, we got the same result than for the concrete fence with an overhang. As you can see here, the fail probability was similar for these two fences and higher than the simple concrete fence. Based on all of these results, we can say that these 3 types of fences are effective to stop runners, little jumpers, and also juveniles of this species. On the other hand, for good climbers, it is necessary to add at least an 8 cm overhang to stop them. Finally, 40 cm is not enough for good jumper species. Indeed, we have to be careful for good jumper and climber species, because as for the agile frog, 40 centimeters is not enough. They succeed to cross the fence by jumping with or without overhang, as we can see on this video. It's also necessary to be careful to good climbers such as tree frogs, because a 5 cm overhang with a 2 cm return is not enough to clog them. We can see it well on this video with the individual who crossed the fence by climbing over the overhang. Finally, we also have to be careful about the presence of vegetation near the fence, because we observed that the tree frogs could climb on the plexiglass wall in front and jump to the top of the fence. It could do the same with vegetation. To conclude, firstly, our tests have shown that for our runner and little jumper species, these 3 types of fences are effective to stop them. So we could extrapolate these results to other European amphibians with the same mode of displacement, such as the following families that could also be stopped by this type of fence. In a second step, we showed that juveniles were also stopped by these different fences, which should be the case for the juveniles of other runner and little jumper species. Thirdly, we have shown that for good climbers, the fence has to be equipped with an overhang with a minimum size of 8 cm to stop them, which should be the case for other good climber species in Europe. Finally, for good jumper species, a height of 40 cm is not enough. It will be interesting to continue the test in another arena more suitable for higher height. To conclude this presentation, I would like to say that in this test, the amphibians had no choice but to climb over the fence. In reality, we believe that individuals will first try to follow the fences until they reach a wildlife passages before attempting to climb over them. Thank you for your attention.